this is what's interesting now. You've got guys who were legit players on other teams. Even Svi, got some run. There's a few guys out here who are professional basketball players, albeit guys who played on crap teams and played minutes because those teams had no interest in winning.
Yeah, I was going to say, Svi was on Charlotte, man.
Yeah.
But
didn't have great lineups, but they're actually professional. The Celtics have been filling with a lot of G Leaguers, the bottom of that rotation now. For all the fear that, no bench, you might actually make an argument that, there's some professional basketball players on this bench. And of all of that, Banton is the guy who seems to be getting the most run and the earliest run off of the others. If you lump them all together, Stevens, Keita, Brissett, Banton, Svi, Banton's getting in there. So they, in addition to Hauser and Pritchard, who I think are certainly going to get some minutes early, you may have a few people that you can use and utilize from time to time. It's not the worst. We'll see how it plays in the regular season, but I'm curious if any of them actually play.
Yeah, same.
Are they going to cut it at 8 and that's that? Or will they work some of those guys in? And if so, which ones? And I'm curious who you guys think has the inside track after the first 8. If you include Pritchard and Hauser in the 8, then what?
See, I want to say Brissett, but from what I've seen from the from the preseason games, I'm wondering if he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be fighting, to get in there. But I'm thinking Brissett and Banton. I feel like still has a way to sort of, he's got to get more comfortable with the offense. Right? There's times where I feel like he's getting there. And other times I feel like he takes a big step back. So it's hard to say, but those are the two guys I think of off the top.
Yeah, Brissett obviously intrigued me most coming in. Shoots 30% though in the preseason, 12% from 3. I think it's going to be tough for any of these guys who struggle to shoot to break through consistently, given the way they want to play. Banton in that group too. He really struggles to even get to 30% so far through his career. So it's going to be a challenge for all those guys, especially
coming back, guys. Sorry, 1 second.
Especially if Hauser's still a 40% guy.
Right.
For any of them to break past him is going to be tough. But the one guy I keep looking at, and he played well again tonight, Lamar Stevens. Not a great shooter, but a guy who's gotten by, just came off his best year from 3, actually, I think around 33%. I interviewed his trainer last week. He thinks that he'll be closer to 35 this year. And that dunk tonight, he has a few dunks this preseason. The rebounding, super strong. Defensively, you know what he's capable of. He can defend most positions. When I was talking to him at practice, he said 2 through 5 he can defend, which isn't even the case for Brissett. We've seen Brissett play some center and have some trouble there. Against wings and guards, he can get blown by. Stevens is a pro-level defender who, as John said, started games on the best defense in the NBA a year ago. He hasn't played a lot in the preseason, and I think the reason for that is that they kind of know what he is. They know he's at his best when he's playing next to the regulars, and that they're trying to let some of these other tryout guys, have their run and shoot shots and all that. But I'm pretty confident if they're in a game, Josue, where they're down big early or the energy just isn't there, all of a sudden Lamar Stevens is going to be checking into that game.
Ever wish you could navigate the betting field with the confidence of a pro? Enter OddsAre. They're not a sports book, but they're the sports betting advisor you always needed. It's like having a playbook for smarter bets right in your pocket. I've been absolutely loving the experience, and I think you will too, especially since Celtics All Access listeners get a 30-day free trial. Elevate your game day and join the smart betting revolution. Go get it at oddsare.com/Celtics. That's oddsare.com/Celtics.
I'm pretty confident if they're in a game, Josue, where they're down big early or the energy just isn't there, all of a sudden Lamar Stevens is going to be checking into that game.
Yeah, I can see that for sure, especially because he's able to defend the wing at a high level. That's essentially what got him that got him into that starting lineup, right? In Cleveland. Cleveland just couldn't. They had a really hard time defending, especially at the wing position. He sort of just emerged as one of those guys that just, locked down as best as he could and provided more possession.
Yeah, he provided out there.
Extra possession. I think that's what essentially got the attention from the Celtics, right? They need someone like that, a secondary wing defender that can come in, eat up minutes from Tatum or Brown if they're in foul trouble. help stop the bleeding, defend some of the better players on the opposing team. And I'm with you too, Bob. I think that they know that already about him. And I feel like that's something that's an opportunity that's going to be there for him, at some point this season. It could be right from the beginning. So yeah, if he's able to, take on that role and raise his eyebrows, then I think it's his spot for the taking. I don't see another wing, a guy from at the wing position that's like a shoo-in, over him, right? And that's, if you're the Celtics, you're still looking at your top six being like, this is still a championship. This team could still win a championship the way it is, but you're wondering how the makeup of that second unit is going to look like, especially out of the gates. And we got somewhat of an idea from these preseason matchups, but that part, though, that role is still sort of up in the air, right? It's still up for grabs in the sense of like who's going to be that eighth, ninth guy who can always get minutes, who's always going to have minutes ready for him.
It's going to take a little getting used to, too, some of this new CBA stuff, but the Celtics can't sign buyout guys this year, which is worth noting. But yeah, we're talking Stevens, John. I'm pretty intrigued by him. I'm
really curious who of those guys is going to have any value.
I think Stevens just brings the best mix of defense.
For sure.
Pedigree playing so far, starting games for a really good team. The energy, I don't know how much you caught in the fourth quarter him tonight because, everyone just starts snoozing. But
the big dunk,
the rebounds, like he does a lot.
Bobby, I watched the games, Bobby.
I didn't know if you were interested in the Kornet time of the game. But yeah, I like him a lot. I loved him in Cleveland. Another guy I'm surprised that they got for a training camp deal, not even a minimum. He came in as a tryout guy here. So there's some intrigue with Svi. I don't know how much he intrigues you, John.
A lot.
The shooting's ridiculous.
I love, he's just a classic, like 1980s Euro player,
Where did he go tonight? He had what? 2 of 8, 2 of 7 from 3. So he slowed down a little bit, but coming into that, he was 54% from 3.
Yeah.
He really struggles to defend, though. He does.
Yeah, no, he does.
I'm bummed about Oshae. He really has struggled this preseason.
All right, Derek, Derek, I like the effort. It's not bad.
I feel like he's more of a 90-year-old. No, John?
Thank you for anybody, by the way. Super chats, if we missed one, I apologize. All of the proceeds go to the hosts, not to the greedy, nefarious owner, Nick Gelso. So we do appreciate that for anybody
nefarious.
There. Yeah. Yes, I burned my pies. I had a pie crisis. That's why I had to go.
Who's your pick on that group, John?
I don't know. I swear.
So do you trust Hauser? That's the real question. It's not can any of these guys break through.
It's not whether. So I don't. I don't think Hauser's a lock, a guarantee. I really don't. I actually think it'll be game dependent too, depending on who's out there and what you need.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And you might play lineups that are a little bit more athletic, more defensive oriented, or you might be, I think Hauser's the default, but I do think you could easily see situations like last year, guys, where Hauser's in a cold snap and they forget about him for a little bit.
He went cold for 2 months before they finally sat him down.
Exactly. And they forget about him a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They have other directions to go if that happens again. And it did to start this preseason.
And again,
3 for 16.
I want to stress this again because everybody says it. Absolutely, he is. We know he is.
John doesn't care about defense.
And no, it's not that, Bobby. It's the thing we always say is you can't when you're getting into players 8, 9, 10, 11 on your team, they're obviously going to have some flaw. Yeah. Otherwise, they wouldn't be players 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They would be starters. So that's the point is like, you can't tell me the 9th guy on the team can't do something. We know he can't do something. It's a pick your poison situation. I think where Joe last year, probably admittedly, was so afraid to play certain people because he didn't want to lose games for making bad decisions. So he played the shit out of his starters way, way, way more than he should have. You have to just live with it. Like I said, is look at Milwaukee and what they do with Giannis minutes. He averages 32. They just are like, no friggin' way am I going to play this guy until the playoffs 40 minutes a night. I'm not doing it. It's not important enough. So you just live with imperfection. For periods of time. You bring in guys. there are guys who start in this league who you can point out 12 things they don't do well. Like, it's just some guys are there and they shoot really well, or they play some defense, or they or they won't. Having an elite skill is great, and obviously Hauser has one. Svi shoots all day. Elite, being able to score.
That's the thing. All these guys
does a lot for you. You know, like I take that over a guy who's just in the way, you know, and you're basically playing 4-on-5 for 10 minutes, you know, like or 5 minutes. I don't want to see that.
That's the thing that's good about this bench. They have mostly minimum guys, but all of them do have one skill that really intrigues you. Svi in the shooting, offensive rebounding and defense. In Stevens' case, Oshae has really played with some amazing energy at the 4 as a cutter, especially is his skill. Svi's shooting, and you know, you go down the line, Banton really screens well and just seems to know this offense super well, which Joe likes. So they have a number of guys, none of them even mid-level guys, who can do something for you, which is, again, a credit to Brad Stevens, who built this roster really well. You know, they really have a group that's new and different, but is super intriguing, even on this bottom half that we're debating here, which could have stunk, John. As you said, G League guys, cast-offs, undrafted rookies. It could have been any of those kind of guys, but they ended up with some intriguing players.
Bobby, do you have like all your dishes below your seat or something? What's
no,
on?
I got my light here.
Okay. It's like you're kicking a tray of dishes or something.
Yeah, like right underneath. Yeah.
There we go.
The CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston and get in on the action with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose.
No, that's a good point, Bobby. But you know, we also have to, you know, give Brad Stevens a lot of credit for that, right? Because I feel like he's able to bring in these guys who aren't going to break the bank. They're in that point of the career where they're not quite out of the league, but they have that opportunity to show that they, you know what I mean? They've been in the league long enough that they're just waiting for an opportunity. They're driven, you know, and I think that's why it's also difficult to gauge which one's going to break through, right? Who's going to solidify that spot? But yeah, it's intriguing because you can see potential in all these guys. And I don't think that was always the case last year or even 2 years ago, right? Like how many times there were like 3-4 guys you were just like, there's no way these guys are going to get solid playing time, you know? And you were kind of just like hoping 3-4 months into the season that, oh, maybe Romeo, because he had like 9 points one game, like he's going to break through. I think this is completely different, right? Like these guys, like you know, one of them is going to latch onto this rotation. You're going to get something out of those guys, out of that person.
Yeah, John, how many times did we ask for some of those old bench guys like Romeo? What did they do?
We just wanted them to grow up like
you're
that.
Right,
and
exactly.
It was unrealistic, Bobby.
Romeo
like these guys are different.
Yeah, these guys can do certain things. Romeo legit could do nothing. At
and
best,
it's not just him though, but like, you know, that's just a good example.
But he's a good example of a guy.
Kind of like that.
Yabusele, like, you know,
Semi's exactly that guy. Semi was every minute Semi played just
Wanamaker.
But you can go down the list.
But like Romeo was a classic case of just doesn't do anything. Like he's just a body, right? Yeah. Offensively, nothing, just a body. He could play some defense, but he would never get the benefit of the doubt on calls, and that would negate whatever. I actually still think he could have been a legit bench D guy. But
whoa, why you say past tense, man?
I think Bobby nailed it. We were talking the other day. Every time he gets cut, which is like, you know, every other day now.
Every time he gets cut,
I'm like, get him. But he got waived, and like Bobby's like, I don't think he likes basketball, and I was like, that might be it. Like he might just not.
I hate to say that because we had that conversation at Summer League, and it's like, I hate when people say I don't like basketball, but I don't know. Something's not clicking there. Maybe it's the injuries. I think you rehab enough times.
A lot of setbacks. Yeah. It gets mental.
Mental, and he certainly struggled with the shot and all the rest. So we'll see if someone picks him up. I'd have to say if Danny, who drafted him in Utah, who's developed so many of these unsung guys, didn't want him, it's not a great sign. San Antonio couldn't make it work with him.
No.
Well, San Antonio's like, we're doing something real now, so we're gonna see you later.
We got a
That
lot
was the
going
Derek
on.
White trade, John.
I gotta pay a lot of attention to what's going on here. So HelloFresh makes it really, really, really easy to make sure that you're maintaining and eating real food as opposed to just reaching into the cupboard and grabbing whatever you can on the go. And it's terrific. And again, if you don't have the time to shop and to do all of the prep work, HelloFresh is the way to go. Go to HelloFresh.com/CLNS50. That's HelloFresh.com/CLNS50. Use the code CLNS50, 50% off plus free shipping. It's a really good deal. Once again, America's #1 meal kit.